Appreciate you stopping by the channel, my movie peeps. Let's talk about some news. Some of the things we'll be discussing here today, guys, is we finally got the trailer for Daredevil Born Again. Gonna be diving into that. We got some behind the scene photos for Five Nights at Freddy's 2, making me really curious about what they're doing in the world, along with the trailer for the video game movie adaptation Until Dawn and why it's pissing off the fans. Oh, we're gonna be diving into that along with so much more, so you know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, comment down below on all these stories, and timestamps will be in the description if you want to skip around. But okay, getting into the first story here, let's start off with the trailer slash behind the scene look for the video game adaptation of Until Dawn. Now, yes, like I was saying, a lot of video game fans have been anticipating this turning into a movie, and now that we have our first 1 minute look, they are very pissed off. To give you an idea of why, the video game Until Dawn is a horror survival game that plays like a movie where you get to make decisions on the characters, and based on those decisions you make, certain characters will live, certain characters will die, and you have the opportunity to have multiple different outcomes based on your decision. It's a pretty cool video game mechanic, but it did make some fans worried about how do you adapt this into a movie then, because there are so many different storylines you could choose. Which is the right one they're going to take and tell? Well, to address this, they revealed in this first look they're going to be making this a time loop movie. Something that's kind of become very saturated in the movie sphere, like Happy Death Day or Groundhog Day, where you are stuck reliving the same day over and over. But they also added extra things on top of that. For one, they mentioned in this first look that they'll have a limited amount of lives, so it's not just endlessly looping them every time they die. They only have a limited amount of chances to make it out. They also mentioned that every time they loop, they basically switch horror genres and they will be attacked by different things. So one night they're attacked by a guy wearing a mask trying to kill them, another night a Wendigo, possibly a witch, and so on and so forth. I think that sounds awesome. Only problem is, that's not really something in the games. There is no time loop. There is no multiple monster creatures coming after you, and probably the thing I was most disappointed by when looking at this, this isn't even in a snowy cabin out in the mountains. You're just in the middle of a forest on a bright summer day. So this has led to a lot of video game fans just angry, upset, going, this is nothing like Until Dawn. You just slapped the name on it. This is probably a script for a whole different movie. You're just using the IP. I am going to be defensive of this a little bit. As someone who's played Until Dawn and was really intrigued with the video game, the thing that makes it most interesting is the mechanic that lets you choose your path, and based on that, you decide your fate. Once you take away that mechanic and you're just told a basic story, it's kind of a generic horror movie of people who go out in the cabin and are attacked by some creatures. And if they just adapted that, I'm sorry, it would have been that, a generic horror movie with nothing really special. This time loop, although yes, it's starting to become oversaturated, is a great way to adapt that mechanic of the game. Plus, you gotta give them props for adding that limitation of it's not endless. They can't just do it over and over. They know they only have so many lives. And you know, so many more people were pissed when they saw the plot synopsis of the movie that read, the film follows a group of friends stalked by a mass killer and stuck in a time loop with the only way to escape is to survive until dawn. That pissed off a lot of people because if you've played Until Dawn, you know the main threat of the game is not a guy wearing a mask, but also, yes, it kinda was for a little bit. I think people who have played the game forgot that that's actually how the game starts. If you look it up, the game is still categorized under the slasher genre because it was being marketed about a guy in a mask chasing you, stalking you, making you think that was the main threat until halfway into the game, it switches genres and then you find out what's actually going on in the mountain. And now looky here, we're doing the movie adaptation where we're starting off with a mass killer, but then we are switching genres into the... Wow, it's almost like they are being faithful to the game. I feel like there's actually a lot of thought and creativity being put on this, and I am so shocked to see the amount of negativity on this project. They also made it clear that this movie is in the same universe as the game, so it's not supposed to be a remake of the game, and it's supposed to be expanding the world of mythology, so I don't know. To me, I want to give it a chance. I feel like they are actually doing something cool, and my main hope is just with director David F. Sandberg. But wow, a lot of hate for this, and so surprised people are seeing how they're taking elements of the game, mechanics, embracing it all, and yet still are saying, this is nothing like Until Dawn. But I throw it off to you guys, whether you're someone who has played the video games or hasn't, interested or not interested, let me know. Bringing us here now to our first trailer for Daredevil Born Again. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't know why I felt like we had already gotten 2 different trailers for this, but every trailer that we've gotten was actually leaked footage from Comic-Con, and this trailer is the same one that leaked and was played at Comic-Con months back. Nevertheless, it's still really great to get the nice HD version, and dude, Daredevil, this is the show that I've actually excited for in a long time in the Disney Plus MCU era. We gotta remember, this is still the show that was supposed to be its own thing until they backpedaled and decided, nah, let's just actually make this season 4 to the original 3 seasons that premiered on Netflix. Smart move. This cafe shot of Matt Murdock and the Kingpin just talking with one another, kind of trying to come into terms with all the recent crime and vigilantism in New York, I thought was really cool. We do get shots of new characters being introduced, like White Tiger, who looks to be a vigilante trying to live up to the name of people like Daredevil. Then you have Muse, who is going about things in his own way. Honestly, what made me most excited was just seeing John Bernthal as Frank Castlebeck. I love the freaking Punisher. I was always worried now that Disney is like in full ownership of these guys, they just wouldn't do another Punisher series or have him back because of how violent he kind of is. But this trailer showed off multiple times Disney is not going to be holding back. It is so funny watching this trailer with the little Disney Plus logo on the side, and there's just broken bones, blood, hanging bodies. Yes, no more holding back. Just go all into it, and I think it's going to be great. I've also said I'm excited because we have that Disney Plus money now, so we can see Daredevil do a lot more acrobatic big stunts, and you do get this wonderful shot of his mask falling to the ground. I think that's really cool. Now, with that said, though, I am seeing some hesitancy, some pushback online. Let's get into what those concerns are. For one is, we had heard the rumors that a big part of this series is that Daredevil is going to be losing his friends, Foggy and Karen. When they decided to go back to the drawing board and kind of start over with this season, we don't know if they're still implementing or not that storyline. It seems like Daredevil is still kind of back and forth on whether to put on the mask and do some good. Same even with Frank Castle. That is kind of one of the annoying tropes of these shows. They're always on and off again, whether I need to put on the suit, I need to take off the suit, I need to put it back on. Leave the suit on and do some cool things, man. Come on. Some people are saying, though, because of this new Disney money, things are a little too polished and clean, and it doesn't have as great of a cinematography look as the original series. I guess that's more of a preference thing. To me, it looks fine. So yeah, I freaking love Daredevil. It's great to see him back. I'm hoping for good things with this show. Trailer did get me excited, but I throw it off to you guys. How are you feeling about Daredevil Born Again? Another interesting story that I thought popped up, but I'm honestly not going to spend too much time on it, is Deadline in an article reporting that Warner Brothers is looking to do a new Gremlins and Goonies movie. Now, again, the reason I'm not going to spend too much time on it is because the article didn't seem that definitive on it. It was just more saying that it's an idea that Warner Brothers is contemplating. But if you've been a movie fan for, I don't know, the last 20, 30 years, every 2-5 years, the article of a new Gremlins movie pops up, and I'm tired of getting my hopes up. I've been wanting a new Gremlins movie for a long freaking time, okay? I love those first 2 movies. I think there's so much potential for fun and wacky family horror that you can do with that world, and they just don't seem to want to do another movie for some reason. They keep saying they're going to do it and that it's in the works and it's going to be happening, and then dead silence. And I guarantee you that's probably what's going to happen after this update. Is I'll see you again in 3 to 5 years when they say new Gremlins movie. As far as the new Goonies movie goes, that's also one that I just don't know how you do a new one. We've seen the thing where you bring back cast members of an old movie and it just ends up being sad because they're all old, grown up, and moved on, and the stories rarely live up to the magic of that first film. And Goonies, to me, I think was just also a perfect one and done. I don't see how you do anything else with it. So I don't know. We'll see if anything comes out of this update, but new Gremlins, new Goonies. Are you interested? Speaking about sequels, we got an update here for the sequel to Alien Romulus. It's so funny that in our last topic, we were talking about doing something different with a franchise, keeping things fresh and moving, when a lot of the main backlash involved with Alien Romulus from people who didn't like the movie is that it was just a rehash or a mishmash of all the previous Alien movies into one. For me, that didn't bother me as much because I felt like there was still a lot of new, refreshing things, and I thought director Freddy Alvarez really injected the horror back into the xenomorphs. Plus, the homages to the previous Alien movies to me felt more like a celebration instead of just like a cheap copy. But Nevertheless, the sequel's happening because the movie made a lot of money and most people walked out liking it, and here we have what they're planning to do. Director Freddy Alvarez said, "We're excited about where it can go. We've almost checked all the boxes of things that I want to see in Romulus and brought back a lot of the things I hadn't seen in a while. Where we go now, we can go into uncharted waters." Continuing on, "I think it'll be so exciting to go with characters you know from this movie to a place in the Alien franchise that we've never been before, and to discover things that you've never seen before." And there you go. It also sounds like maybe Freddy Alvarez is aware of some of those criticisms, and it's like, all right, you guys only want to see new things? Fine. We started the new series. We're going to be moving on with these same characters played by Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson, but now we're going to be doing things you've never seen in the Alien franchise. And again, with a mind like Freddy Alvarez and how visually awesome Alien Romulus was, I'm only more excited now for this sequel. As far as where we go is, I got to think we got to follow them to that planet that's, supposed to be this like safe haven where anybody can go and just be happy. A nice happy place ruined by xenomorphs. That seems like an idea for a good movie. I'm still pitching the idea of bring back Michael Fassbender, have the two androids in the Alien universe face off against each other, because I think the story potential for that would just be cool. What do you want to see out of the Alien Romulus sequel? And well, it's just sequel mania, because we got ourselves a first look and some new details about Avatar 3 thanks to James Cameron. As you guys know, the sequel is titled Avatar Fire and Ash, and along with the first look of the Ash clan, we also got a look at the Wind clan that'll be part of this movie. Starting off with the Ash clan, which are supposed to be these kind of more redder Na'vi, we got some details here from Empire Online that say, described as a reflection of the worst side of Na'vi, filled with anger and rage after their civilization was destroyed by a volcanic eruption. And here we have the photo. I think that's an interesting place to start with this Ash clan, is they had a home, they had a place where they stayed near volcanoes and fire, and then, well, it erupted, their homes got destroyed, probably Pompeii style, since James Cameron seems to like to take a lot of inspiration from real-world history into Pandora, and now they're on the search for a new home, a new place, and I guess that's where they're gonna meet up with Jake Sully's family in the Water Tribe and then go to war. And I think it was these elements, no pun intended, of the Avatar franchise that are getting me more interested, is that there's these just different clans that revolve around the elements of Earth. Because moving away from the Fire clan, we have here a look at the Air clan, where it looks like, yeah, they just live their lives up in the sky with these creatures that they also attach themselves to. You could say it now. James Cameron is definitely taking full inspiration now from Avatar: The Last Airbender and just incorporating all these elements. The only little details they revealed about this air tribe is that they're like traders, so they come and go, and as they're stopping by with different clans, they trade goods and things like that. They don't seem to be evil, but they also don't seem to be on your side. They just kind of do their own thing, pass by, help you out if they can, and then move on. The last thing James Cameron said about Avatar 3 is, if you're not making brave choices, you're wasting everybody's time and money. You've got to break the mold every freaking time. And we'll see if that comes out true when Fire and Ash comes out, but this has definitely got me interested, man. What else is left in terms of tribes? I know they've already said in future Avatar sequels we'll be going back to Earth, and that was a whole futuristic world. There's supposed to be time jumps at some point also, so the kids we're like seeing right now are eventually going to be adults. A big war, I think, will happen. I don't know, crazy things in the Avatar universe. What do you make of all this? Bring us here to some set photos involved with Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Now, this movie is currently filming, it's underway, and we will be getting it December of this year. And while there's already been some interesting looks at a second pizzeria location with the updated designs, these new set photos that have popped up for a celebration called Fast Fest have me really intrigued. So over the past couple of days, there has been some filming out in public where it looks like there is this celebration titled Fast Fest, where it's just a collection of Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria items, where in the universe of the FNAF world, there is just a group of obsessed fans, and they still celebrate the pizzeria even if it's gone out of business. Someone even got to take a photo of a flyer that was floating around that said, anyone and everyone, you're invited to Fast Fest. Come celebrate Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and so many more your way. Dress to impress, costume contest for the fans, by the fans, October 12th on Maple Street. And I just think that's interesting because, as far as I'm aware, something like this doesn't exactly exist in the Five Nights at Freddy's video game universe. There are versions of this where, like, I believe in FNAF 3, they turn one of the pizzerias into like a haunted house attraction by the fans. And I didn't really get the impression in the first movie that the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria was like a big chain. It seemed like a one and done restaurant that didn't get so far. And now in the second movie, they're going to expand on it, where I guess there was multiple restaurants and there's been fans obsessed with it, just like there's fans today obsessed with Chuck E. Cheese. So I don't know. I find this fun and interesting. I'm wondering how it could expand on the world or what this even means for the film. But if we've learned anything in the real world, there's a fandom for everything. So this just makes it a little bit more fun. How do you guys feel about these new looks at Five Nights at Freddy's 2? And what are your theories with FazFest? But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you for sharing time my day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.